Hey everybody, my name's Nathaniel Kostecka. I'm 25 years old and I live in Temecula, California. I had a lot of fun with this competition. I got to sing a lot of songs that I normally don't sing, so it was very entertaining to be able to do that. And I hope the people listening got to really enjoy some of the music I put out there. So let's see, how did you react to the result? How does it feel? Further thoughts? I was actually, frankly, pretty surprised with the results. I deal with what could be described as a vocal dysmorphia, in the sense that I'll listen to a performance I had, and instead of hearing anything good with it, I hear nothing but what's wrong with it. But in my last performance with the Pavarotti song, I felt that it was a very strong performance. I was actually very confident in it, and when I submitted it, I had every confidence that I was going to come out on top. So, frankly, I was very surprised when the results were otherwise. Congratulations to Heather. I'm very happy for her. Glad she won. But I do feel like I felt like I should have had it, but it came down to judges' preference, which with everything together, I thought was kind of strange. I thought I was very consistent throughout. I thought I put out good stuff enough to really show that I was taking this really seriously, and I guess it just wasn't enough. One of the things that was said was that Heather made it an effort to make songs her own, and I want to lay this out there, plain and simple. At no point did I try and copy a single artist. Everything I did as my rendition of a song. I don't feel like you have to sing a song in some over-the-top, lots of runs and stuff like that to make a song your own. It's all about how you perform it. Even if you perform it exactly the same as the original, as long as you're not doing an impression of the voice or something like that, that is your version of the song. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to pay homage to an original piece of music. If you're going to rewrite a song entirely, then yes, of course, you've made the song your own, and you've truly made it your own. But if you're just singing the song with the same backing track as anyone else could, and then doing runs and stuff like that, I don't necessarily see that as an over-the-top better thing. But once again, that's just my personal opinion. What do you think about the winner and the other finalists? It was an honor to compete against them. I felt everyone that was there deserved to be there. I actually wasn't entirely surprised with the finalists. Once again, congrats to Heather. Glad she won. Scott, shout out to Scott. He was probably the underdog coming into the finals, because out of the four of us, he probably did have the least technical skill in regards to singing, but he definitely has that gusto and drive. And honestly, with a few just a few different things, if he could implement them into his singing, he could really bring his singing to the next level. So I'm really looking forward to what Scott has to show us. Kelsey, another good singer. I feel like the thing she struggled with the most here was probably putting emotion into her music. I got many musical theater vibes from her, and musical theater is really troublesome. I've done it a lot throughout my life. Been in multiple shows, multiple big roles, like Jean Valjean in Les Miserables. I played Horton in Seussical the Musical, so I've had my share of lead roles in musicals, and something that's very difficult to do is really add emotion into it, because when you're doing musical theater, there is a difference between singing and acting, and it's very tough. It's a very tough thing to be able to do at any point in a person's singing career or practice. So I feel like that's probably one of the things Kelsey struggled with, but once again, it's very small adjustments that can be done to really bring that up to the next level. So I have no doubt that Scott, Kelsey, and Heather will continue to bring us really great things as things go on. What were my expectations when entering the show? I don't really know. Funny enough, I want to say when I was like 19, I auditioned for this first season of this. It may have been later than that. I can't remember exactly. But at the time, I had a crappy mic. I didn't know what I was doing in regards to my editing and whatnot. That's why I found it funny that Petri actually remembered me auditioning in the first season. And I went back and actually found that original audition, and I listened to it again, and I was like, oh God, what was I doing? My singing wasn't necessarily bad. Just the audio quality was so poor, it compromised the entire audition. And I've definitely learned since then. I've gotten better equipment, things like that. I've really started to take my voice more seriously, and I'm glad that this time around I made it in. But yeah, no, it was pretty much exactly what I expected. A traditional singing competition. So yeah, it was good. I definitely I came into this pretty much with a clean slate as far as expectations were concerned, and just developed my expectations as time moved on. All right, let's see. How has your experience been being part of the show? Ups and downs. Overall, I'd say my experience was pretty decent. Ups and downs. Most of my ups and downs came from listening to the performances and the judges' critiques of them, because there were times where I felt I'm actually pretty good at taking myself out of an equation and being able to look at something objectively, even something I'm actively participating in. And I felt there were times that the judges heard something that they thought was really good that I just couldn't hear. Or the judges heard something that they thought was really bad, and I didn't think that myself. So I felt there was a couple times throughout this competition that really kind of threw me for a loop when I heard placements, or I heard someone was going home. I was extremely surprised by those results, and that's where most of my ups and downs came from. Just complete surprise of the judging in those aspects. As far as the rounds were concerned, I guess I had a couple ups and downs there. There were some rounds I really enjoyed, and other rounds I genuinely struggled with, whether it was actually finding a song that I felt would work for me, or trying to perform a piece of music I wasn't comfortable with. It definitely changed things up a little bit when I was actually trying to put that all together, and sometimes it caused stress. Other times, it was smooth sailing. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I executed it exactly the way I wanted to. Let's see. What did you think about the judges? Have we always been fair, or is there anything we could have done better? All right, so I want to throw this out here now, just so that my intentions are clear, and I'm not trying to jump down to anyone's throat or anything. But I want to say I'm not a professional singer. Apparently, that was something a lot of the judges thought, is that I had some professional training. And I want to clear that up right now. There is a difference between being a professional singer and practicing my ass off. I've definitely practiced day in, day out to get to where I am right now vocally, and it had nothing to do with professional lessons. I mean, I probably started where everyone else in this competition started. I was in high school choir, and that was the extent of my quote-unquote professional training. So everything else I've acquired, my skill, my technical capability, all that stuff, that was stuff I developed myself. It has nothing to do with being a professional singer or being professionally trained. So I want that to be put out there now. What did I think about the judges? I thought overall it was decent judging. I did have a couple things that I thought were a little unfair, not just to me, but to other contestants as well. I feel like if you're judging a singing competition, you should have some experience in the fields that would make you an authority on music. Andrea's inclusion as a judge makes complete sense to me. She has musical theater background and performance background, so I was like, yeah, of course, when she says something, it's coming from a place of expertise. The other judges, I wasn't quite as sure they had as solid grounding for their opinions and whatnot, which once again, I'm not devaluing anyone's opinion. I mean, Petri made the show, and Mark has his opinions, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I definitely feel like there should be a sense of professionalism on either a production side or a singing side, because then you genuinely know what you're talking about. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing what you're talking about. I don't want you to think I'm disparaging anybody, because music is hard, and there is no perfect ear or anything like that. But having that experience does help develop opinions in certain regards. And I feel like sometimes some of the critiques and some of the comments just didn't make sense. And it was because of a lack of exposure to different musical aspects, whether that was the technical side or the performance side. Yeah, there was one round in particular that caught me off guard, me personally off guard. Granted, the vote of this judge didn't end up mattering because they decided to sit out, but one of the judges specifically said that they were unable to remain objective with my performance of Holy Diver. And that raised some red flags for me. A judge should be able to remain objective at all times, and an inability to do so in one scenario shows that whether it's being admitted or not, there is an inability to be objective in others. A judge should be able to remain truly objective, because you can like someone as a contestant, but if they submit a bad entry, they submit a bad entry, and there's no amount of, oh, but they're a cool person, that should come in to that consideration. This is a singing competition, and that's what should be being judged. That was the only qualm I really had in regards to the judges, but I did think a couple times there were maybe some outside influences aside from just the performances that were affecting results. What do I think about the other contestants? Anyone specific you want to mention? Other contestants. Okay, so throughout the competition, I've been listening to I listened to every single episode, every single person's submissions, and it was a decent group of individuals performing. I feel like there's a couple that need to kind of go back to the drawing board and build their singing chops and their singing techniques from the ground up. Maybe kind of relearn some things, because when you sing a certain way, you end up developing some bad habits sometimes, and it can be really hard to get out of those bad habits. And the best thing you can do is kind of just start over from the basics and take it from there. Marcus, I loved performing with Marcus in the group round. I think he has a wonderfully R&B voice, and I really think he should embrace that and really push forward with that. He had an unfortunate run having a lot of genres that were just kind of difficult to go into. I also think he suffered a little bit in regards to the technical aspect, but I really enjoyed his voice, and I really enjoyed listening to his voice. So I hope he works on those couple things and really knocks some stuff out of the park. Scott's another one. His technical chops aren't that great, I'll admit that, but he has the cojones for good performance. He really does. And I think if he works on just a couple things, he can really bring his singing to that next level and really, rock the house like he really wants to. Heather, wonderful voice. Kelsey, once again, a wonderful voice. Maybe can work on that emotional delivery a little bit, and it'll bring it to that next level. Gabriel, I have mixed opinions on Gabriel. He was one of the performers that I often disagreed with the judges about. I think Gabriel he definitely has singing skills, but that nasalness, I'm not gonna say nasality, because that's not a thing. When I heard the judges say that, I was like, I know what you're saying, but that's not really a thing. But that nasally tone that he has to his voice is honestly a detriment in my eyes. Apparently some of the judges really like that. It's not quite my bag, and that might just be a personal preference thing, but I feel like if he really worked at it and trained himself to sing more from his chest and less from his nose, he would be a significantly better performer. And it's going to take practice and regular training. Once again, this doesn't have to be professional training. This is stuff you can practice at home. But I think you could really, once again, take your singing to that next level with just a couple small changes that you need to implement on a regular basis. So otherwise, the contestants were great, is my point. I feel like everyone, even me, could do a couple things just to really improve, even if just by a little bit, because that's the end goal, right? Just getting better. That's what we're trying to do. Let's see. Am I happy with my own efforts and accomplishments in the competition? Why or why not? I'm extremely happy with my efforts and accomplishments. As far as submitting everything on time, there was not a single round that I did not submit my stuff on time. Even times when I had to leave early or I wasn't going to be there for the actual submission day, I made sure I had my stuff submitted so that I wouldn't be part of what could be keeping up an episode. I made sure that every song I performed fit within the theme that we were given. I stayed true to the competition the whole time. I didn't leave for any reason. I was on board from day one, and I made sure to be a positive force in this competition, sharing it, spreading it around to as many people as I could, because it was something that was really important to me, and I was really excited to be participating in it. And that's one of the reasons why I was kind of disappointed with the end result was, because of that level of dedication I applied that I know some of the other contestants weren't able to or didn't, but at the end of the day, I wasn't there to make excuses. I was there to produce results. Do I have any regrets? No, I think I left it all out on the table, and I don't think I have anything to regret. Favorite theme / episode and why? My favorite theme was the rock round. I had so much fun singing Holy Diver. I really enjoyed it. It's a funny story, actually. My dad, he was around when the song came out, and he'd listened to it when it first came out, and it became one of his favorite songs. So when the rock round came around and I told him it was the rock round, he said, "Oh my God, would you sing Holy Diver?" So of course I did. And when I showed him, he loved it. It actually, the one I submitted was not my first take. I pretty much every performance I did, I re-recorded at least 10 to 15 times before I'd actually submit it, because I wanted to make sure what I was submitting was like genuinely the best thing I could submit. So when I showed him the original take, he had some notes, and my dad's, he's not the type who will sugarcoat something, whether he knows you or not. If anything, his love for you and him knowing you will only encourage him to be more honest with you. So I went back to the drawing board and I recorded it again, and I ended up showing him, what I felt would be the final result, and the look on his face said it all. As soon as he said, "Wow, that was really good," I genuinely enjoyed that. I knew I had something special, and I felt like I was gonna take that round. That's why I was very surprised when the initial reaction from the judge on that episode was so negative, I was genuinely surprised. It definitely caught me off guard, but that was definitely my favorite episode because I really got to pay homage to my dad, who's very important to me. My least favorite theme in episode and why? Honestly, probably the club round. I'm just not very familiar with club music. It's not that type of music I normally listen to. It's not to say I dislike the song I sung. I actually do like that song, Jealous by Nick Jonas. But it was a part of my voice I don't normally use. Not to say I can't do it, because obviously I did, but it was definitely different and a little more difficult for me to do. Do I have any criticism for the show? Kind of. I feel like there's a lot of things that could still be refined for the show. This is a singing competition, and I think singing needs to take the forefront as to what's judged. And that's pretty much how you feel about a contestant outside of their singing should not influence whether or not they did well. Their performance should be what influences that, and that can be a difficult thing from a judging standpoint to be able to do. I would love to be a judge for this show because I feel like I'm very fair, very objective, and I hope if the chance comes, next season or whatever, if they're looking for judges, I would be happy to be one of them. So that's pretty much the only criticism for the actual show. Small thing, and I think it would really bring the show to the next level. You guys are using the American Idol theme and stuff. You guys should, I think between all the musical minds you have working on this, you could probably come up with a pretty dynamite theme song or a little jingle for the show to be known by, so it can start getting its own individuality and really take itself to the next level. Do I have any tips for future contestants? Yes. Don't come in with expectations. And what I mean by that is, whatever you think this competition is going to be, just throw that out the window. It's not going to help you. All you can do is perform to the best of your ability and put out everything you can. Maximum effort, a lot of dedication. Just make sure you leave it all on the table so that, if you end up doing a Q&A and you have to ask yourself, do you have any regrets? You can say no as well. That's all. That's the only advice I can give to a future contestant. Anything I want to add? In regards to the mentors, I don't want any of the mentors to think that I wasn't using them because I didn't, trust them or anything. I just wanted to succeed or fail on my own merit. If I had used a mentor and something was recommended and I implemented it and it ended up falling flat, then I would have ended up losing because of another person's input, or because it wouldn't just be my fault I lost. And then if I submitted something and it went really well, I wouldn't have won based on just my merit. And then this is I don't know, you can call it a pride thing, you can call it whatever you want. But as a performer, I like to succeed or fail on my own merit. So I made sure to do all my own mixing. I made sure to do all that stuff myself, because I wanted to show that my skills are not just singing. I'm capable in other facets of production as well, which I think is an important part of this competition. Because of the unique way that it's being presented, we have an opportunity to look at more than just a pure vocal capability. This is a singing competition, but because it's an online singing competition and people are submitting their own things, the quality of their work, the time and effort they put into it, it does directly reflect into the performances that are submitted. So we're able to critique on things that aren't just singing, that do matter. And I feel like a lot of that maybe wasn't taken into consideration when final decisions were made, but that's totally fine. Once again, judges have their way of judging, and I am not one to fly in the face of that. So basically, I had a lot of fun. I did. I think the singing was probably the most fun because I got to sing a lot of things out of my wheelhouse, or just stuff I wasn't used to singing, which was really nice. Great contestants, fun judges. Overall, a very fun experience. I just hope some of the things I experienced, other contestants don't have to experience in the future. And I hope everyone that auditions in the future has fun doing it, because this can be the type of thing that changes a person's mind in regards to what they do with their future. Even a victory on a small singing competition like this can be the thing that tells someone what they're going to do for the rest of their lives. So my last bit of advice to the show is really think about that. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you have the power to do, and don't wield that power willy-nilly. I think Spider-Man's uncle said it the best. With great power comes great responsibility. And whether you think it's great or not, the power you hold in this competition is far greater than you could imagine. So this has been my Q&A video. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll talk to you later.